raise the flags. Hit them fast, secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And we are joined, I should say we, I'm joined tonight by my co-host, my man KB. Glad to have you back. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thursday night football, ready to go.
All ready to go, man. I thought we would jump on here for a little bit and, kind of chop it up and, just talk about, what to expect from the game tonight.
Well, your favorite team is the Falcons, so I'm sure you got positive things to say.
No, I had nothing good to say about that team. So, you know how it is. You know how I roll. It's always been like that since, it's funny. That was your introduction to Buck What You Heard was the my feelings about Atlanta.
It was the dichotomy of me talking you into Brady and you just hating Jameis so much for throwing the pick six.
Oh, my God.
We were on for, I think, 2.5 hours that day.
Oh, man. Yeah, you had to talk me off the ledge. I mean, you did a great job with that as well. So, with the injury report, we saw the injury report. And for those who aren't aware, KB, can you let everybody in on the injury report for the Bucs?
Yeah, so we got no Gadecki, no McMillan, no Palmer, no Cansey, no Winfield, and then Jake Camarda is a healthy scratch.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with the punt Prince?
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of like hold pattern like Gadecki, where it's like if he doesn't play by the Saints game, like I'm concerned. And maybe the plan all along was to elevate a punter for 2 games and, hey, you need 2 weeks, whether it's mentally something you're going through, physically something you're going through. But Gill in his first game did worse than anything Camarda's done this year. So that part's a little bit confusing, but hopefully that was just the plan all along. Only Todd Bowles and coaches and Light know the answer there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. For me, I guess one of the big things is, and they mentioned it was mentioned in the chat, is Raheem Morris making a return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ray J as or not Ray J, but in Atlanta as a head coach versus his old team. So, what are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about how he's done as a head coach so far this season?
So, like, hindsight, drafting Penix was probably Raheem's idea, and the GM obviously was on the same page because if I'm a head coach and I sign Kirk Cousins, I probably don't want a rookie backup in the first round. I probably want to surround because, coaches are always worried about the team's success now. GMs are worried about the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they were both on the same page. So they probably made the right decision, but with that comes the short term. Imagine if Rome Odunze was their, starting receiver next to London right now with all their struggles. They're starting Ray McLeod. To those who don't know, went to Armwood, has only really been known with the Steelers as a punt returner and kick returner. Like, he's not played offensive snaps, and we know how the Steelers offense is. So that does not show much encouragement in terms of, their draft stock when you could have had him or an edge like Latu or Dallas Turner. Like their defense could be a lot better with that 8th overall pick.
Yeah.
So with Raheem, I don't like some of the moves that they made in the short term because it's kind of like you put all your chips in now when you should have been trying to, improve. Okay, or if you have Kirk Cousins, like great, like you can still build a winning team, but they're playing the short and the long game at the same time. And the head coaches, we know, are the ones that usually pay the piper when things go bad. And right now you're starting 2-2. You saw Falcons social media, they're hyping up this game. I mean, Raheem's not going to look very good if they lose. And I'm not saying the Bucs don't have anything to lose this game. I think they have a lot to win. But if they lose, it's not really, their season. If you're the
Yeah.
Falcons, you're starting off 2-3. Like it can, they barely eked out a game against the Saints. Like this could start a, downward trend. And then, hey, if we're 2-4, do we start Penix? Like those are the talks that'll be going on.
Yeah, that is the concern right there. I mean, now, Cousins has always got to look over his shoulder now. Regardless of what anybody says, he's always got to look over his shoulder. He can have 2 bad games, and all of a sudden, the fan base, the news media, everybody's like, hey, we want to see that. We want to see what that other quarterback can do. And they've already paid this guy handsomely to come in and lead this team to
guaranteed years, not just money, but years, basically.
Exactly. And the way I see it, I've never been a Kirk Cousins fan. I think he's been sporadic. He's done well, but he's not a guy that, you have to have a stellar defense and then put him in order to get to a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Well, they've had good defense. Remember, coming off the Minneapolis Miracle with Stephon Diggs, they moved on from Case Keenum, who got them there, into the NFC Championship game to the eventual, they got their barns beat off by the Eagles, but they made it to the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum, and the whole idea was we're keeping the same team, we're bringing in Kirk Cousins.
Right.
And it was supposed to be, hey, you're supposed to get us to the next step. They barely made the playoffs and only won 1 playoff game. They had the 13-4 year. Like, that's literally been it. He's only had 2 winning seasons as a starting quarterback. That's a scary proposition here. And remember, we were talking about this preseason with Kirk Cousins. He's always been that, borderline, or that Mendoza line of what's a good quarterback, what's a bad quarterback.
Yep.
And now you're 37, you got an Achilles, and I'm sorry, Drake London fans, but Justin Jefferson's a better receiver. Look how the Vikings are playing now with Kirk Cousins no longer there. There's a lot of questions.
And they replaced him with Sam Darnold, too. That's the kicker.
Well, Sam Darnold, remember, wasn't even supposed to be the starter. J.J. McCarthy came in. They drafted him first round thinking he was going to be the guy.
So, it's crazy. The NFL is just a league of parody, just with the way things kind of play out. So with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I enjoyed the game against the Eagles, but this is a better equipped team that the Bucs are facing in the Falcons. The fact that they're a division rival, that plays a huge factor as well. How do you see Tampa matching up against Atlanta?
Well, it'd be a lot nicer if we were healthy. Let's start off there. I think, Zion McCollum is playing. We're playing a lot of zone, but Zion McCollum's playing like one of the best corners in the NFL. So London's on his side. I'm feeling pretty good. Dean's hit or miss. We know how he is, but they're healthy right now, so that's good. Jordan Whitehead's been playing like an animal. So to me, the only real matchup nightmares that I see on both sides of the ball that the Falcons would have an advantage on is Matt Judon against Justin Schooley, if they choose to put him on that side.
Right.
And Kyle Pitts against KJ Britt in like the passing game, even if we play a lot of zone, like get him, in front of KJ in space. Like that would be my game plan.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't see where there's advantage for the Falcons. So, I'm not saying the Bucs should necessarily win this game, but even with the injuries, I think this is a good matchup that favors us. They have a backup center. Vita Vea is going to wreak havoc against the backup center. We already know that. So,
and it's interesting you say that. I've been pleasantly surprised with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done, with the injuries, with the key injuries they've had. And they've been able to overcome a lot of that. And it's getting a lot of these guys meaningful reps. And I think that is going to be huge as we go through the season. Right now, just getting those guys out there and they're able to produce, I think that's huge. So it's going to be interesting as we get to my sweet spot, which is game 6. This will give us a clear indicator, in my opinion, of where the Bucs are. What kind of team you have, because you played some really good teams, and how do you respond to adversity? I thought they responded well against Denver. Does it kind of level out? And what kind of team do you have? This is another good measuring stick, in my opinion, as to what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be able to do.
Yeah, that's where winning this game would be awesome because you have the mini bye week going against the Saints. And if you win one, there's a little bit, sigh of relief. Like even if you do drop one, it's not the end of the world. If you lose, then you have to think about that over the short bye week. And, hey, Saints now is a must-win game because if you don't, you're at 500 or below 500 and all that type of stuff. So for me, it's just like play a good game today. Just don't turn the ball over. Put some points on the board, get in the 20s, and just hope the defense is, bucking up. I see this as a Tyler Algier game on the ground. I feel like they saw what we did to Bijan. If I were them, I would try to get him involved in the passing game. Again, if I'm Pitts and I'm Bijan and I'm Zach Robinson, their offensive coordinator, it's trying to get them in a matchup against him. Yeah. Make him be the one to make a guy miss. But yeah, we'll see if they're going to do that because, Gene, they're playing a lot of like outsides or they're running a lot of outside zone. And that's doing great and everything. But what does Todd Bowles do? He's going to commit the resources and he's going to say, hey, you're going to have to beat us, Kirk. And we know Kirk can put up yards. He did it last year, week one. Yeah. What is he going to do in the second half once those adjustments come? And that's what happened last year was Christian Ezian got the pick before half and then got another one in the second half. And the Vikings just couldn't score. Short week, preparing for Todd Bowles' defense requires at least 5 days. Yeah. So we'll see how early the Falcons got into scouting and what they can do. Because if I'm the offense, I want to do the same game plan that the Eagles had or that we had versus the Eagles. Short passes, get the ball out, get Mike the ball early. Threaten a deep shot with like a Mike. Throw one deep. Make the safeties. They have two good safeties. Make them respect you.
Yeah, I think Rachaad White and Rachaad White is going to be huge in this game in the passing game. I would love.
Can I give you a hot take, James?
Yeah.
I think Bucky Irving is not going to be the starter, but I think he's going to get the first carry or first couple carries. And White, if Bucky does well, White might be the third down back, change of pace back. But I think what we're going to see is a little bit more of Bucky Irving, and he might not be the starter, but he's going to get at least probably 50 to 60% of the touches in the rushing game this game, which I think opens up so much more for White. I'll tease something for our friend Josh Capo. He's going to be writing an article here soon. I'll just say we were having a lot of really good discussions about 21 personnel, so 2 running backs, 1 receiver, 2 receivers, 1 tight end. And I want to see these 2 on the field together.
Me too.
Because think about this, Gene. Imagine you come into the 21 personnel, but you split out Bucky and Rachaad, and you have a screen game on the left with Kate Otten on that same side. You have Mike Isoed on the other side, and you have Chris Godwin in the backfield.
That's a defensive nightmare right there.
Well, you can't play man.
Yeah.
So what do? You play zone, and what do? You run zone beaters.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And then you can run one of them in motion. You can you can motion, and Godwin's your lead blocker out of the backfield. Yeah. You motion one of the running backs, and you're running to Mike Evans' side blocking as well.
And I've been really happy with how they've utilized Chris Godwin. This is something I talked about at the beginning of the season. I said Chris Godwin is going to be a guy that you're going to have to pay attention to. And that's been the case here.
That to me was the problem with Baker last year. It was Chris Godwin is not the guy who's going to get 1,700 yards, be prime Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp. Even Cooper Kupp or whatever. He's not going to get those insane numbers. But what he's going to do is he's going to move the chains. He's going to provide your offense consistency. Someone who you can pepper the ball to as sure hands. Can make a guy miss. We saw the Eagles defender blow by him. That's what Chris Godwin does. And I don't think I think the narrative with Chris Godwin is, last year he wasn't healthy. Yeah, he might not have been 100% what he was 2-3 years ago, but he was pretty darn close there. He was getting separation. He was open. There was probably something going on with Dave Canales being super basic and Mayfield.
I was just getting to that point. We can see where Liam Cohen is utilizing him a little bit different than what we saw last year. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Oh, no. I mean, you can see it. I mean, I think what happened with the Broncos was an equivalent of, I think we tried to do too much and Baker was sensing pressure that wasn't there, and we had a bad Baker game. Last year, we put up 7 points. There was a chances that we could have gotten back in the game. But it just, was a poorly executed game versus like last year with Canales for the first half of the season. I mean, granted, we started off 3-1, but once we hit that stretch, that's kind of what the offense looked like, other than the Texans game.
Yeah.
So like that tells me that they figured out how to simplify things was their adjustment.
Right.
And what they did was they figured out how to get the ball out of Baker's hands, get him, some rhythm, some comfortability. And then, hey, if the defense isn't going to adjust, then just continue picking them apart. Like the Eagles didn't change much. They played the Vic Fangio 2 high safeties, keep everything in front of you. Not quite Tampa 2, but like we're going to be aggressive with the corners. But, hey, we know what the Bucs are doing with motion that frees up a guy.
Yep. And we saw that quite a bit in that game. My concern is we saw what Saquon Barkley did last week. And that's the one thing that kind of sticks out to me with the team overall is how do you adjust for that, the running game? Because I know that
Barkley only had one good run, Gene. That was it. He was stifled. I mean, I think the Eagles made when we've lost to teams, the teams that do really well against Todd Bowles are the ones that honestly are just like, we're not running the ball. Why?
Yeah.
Ben Johnson doesn't run the ball against us. And granted, we beat them in week 2, but there was no reason to run the ball. Jared Goff just had a bad Jared Goff game, but he put up 300 yards. Their offense was moving. They just couldn't score. They were moving the ball. Right. Sean McVay consistently, that's the biggest difference. They get 7s when they play the Bucs. They don't even bother running the ball when they have a healthy receiving core. Yeah. The 49ers, they had Christian McCaffrey last year. They didn't even bother. Brock Purdy was having a show out there in California. Yeah, we came back in the game, made it a little close, but my point is the good teams don't run against us. So Kirk Cousins, we know if he's going to pass, we're going to blitz. He can't run. That ball's going to come out of his hands quick. It's going to be a Drew Brees-like game. And are we going to get good Kirk Cousins? Or are we going to get check down Charlie Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson makes a guy miss, but we're keeping them out of the end zone? That's what I see. I see Kirk Cousins getting about 250 yards this game from dump-offs if their offense is executing. Right. But you can see what the Bucs did against the Eagles midway through the second quarter. Gene, 250 total yards of offense to 0. That's what happens if you're trying to do that short stuff. Like even the Eagles were trying to do it, but you got 3 and outs real quick. Yeah. Like you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to pick up the blitz. Todd Bowles, you just got to win on 3rd down. He's going to give you 1st and 2nd down, get your 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. But are you going to get off the field on 3rd down?
Yep, there you go. Will the Brewer, how you doing, my friend? DP Buck 32, Neil L. Bucs Rays Bolts, how you doing? MK, what's going on? Bud Cannibalist. This is going to be a fun game tonight. Win or lose, I would love to see the Bucs win this game just because it is a division game. The other games that we're looking at outside of the Saints, again, they're measuring sticks to see where the Bucs are. But these division games are huge. They're going to really stack up, and you're going to look back on some of these games and man, these are the games we needed to win when you get towards the end of the season. I really believe this division is a lot more competitive than they've been in years past. And it's going to be interesting here, especially with this being a home game for Atlanta. And I hate it. I hate Thursday night games. I still am shell-shocked for pre-Jason Light Thursday night football games because they were atrocious. And again, this is going to be a good test for the Bucs, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah, honestly, for preseason, what I said on this podcast was you needed to get to 500 before the bye week. So bye week's week 11, so you got 10 games before it. The Bucs have already won 3 of them.
Yes.
In a perfect world was 6. They're halfway there. You go 2 out of 3 in these division games. you're there. You're at 500. That's all you can ask for. So if you win the first one, again, what I said earlier, it takes your foot off the gas or, off the brake pedal of like being, scared. You come out of the bye week, you got the Giants.
Right.
Stop Malik Neighbors, limit Dexter Lawrence from being an animal. That's it. Panthers, I'm going to try to be at this game December 1st. Panthers, the Red Rifles back there. Okay, great. Deontay Johnson's probably going to get traded. So best weapon probably gone. Best defensive player gone. Second best defensive player gone. Raiders probably going to be without Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Chargers literally have no receivers.
Yeah. They're elsewhere.
The Cowboys look super beatable right now, and we'll see what the Parsons and Lawrence injuries look like. But it's at Jerry World. So even if you want to call that one a L, let's just do that for – I know you don't want me to say that, but let's just do it for hypothetical.
That's fine. That's fine.
But then you have the Panthers, and then possibly if you win 11 games, 10, 11 games, week 18 means nothing against the Saints. That's the goal. Win 10, 11 games, you're in the dance. Don't worry, and then you don't have to play anyone. I don't care if you're the 4 seed, 3 seed, or the 5, 6 seed. I don't care. Just get there.
Yeah, that's going to be
the Bucs, if they get to 6 games, I don't see anyone other than the Cowboys week 12 to week 18 that's scary.
That's crazy.
If get to 5, worst case, 6, best case win. So that means you go 2 out. I mean, I would love the Bucs to go 3-0 in these division games, but we know it's
not
hard.
gonna. That's not gonna happen.
It's hard. But Kansas City looks super beatable right now. The 49ers look super beatable right now. Maybe not the Ravens. I think the Ravens play us well, but that's also in Tampa.
Yeah.
And it's a Monday night game. Anything can really happen there. But that's where I think the Ravens are kind of a trap game, is because then you have a short week at home against the Falcons.
Yeah.
So, again, win 2 out of 3 of these, and you're literally in the perfect shape of anything you can ask for. But, yeah, I think, Baker wearing Black Mamba shit should be a lock for a W. Well, we've already seen it this year.
Yeah.
It's a good Baker game. This team puts up points, and they win. If it's a bad Baker game, it could be a blowout. The Falcons could win this game 21-0 for all we know. It's going to come down to Baker. And you know what? Eli Manning had him on a little thing today. They did the little charade where he's like, a fan or whatever. They're going to be talking about that all game. And you know what? If he doesn't play well, it's going to be a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he plays well, we're going to be laughing with it, and it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But this team is going to go where Baker goes.
Yep, you're exactly right. And they have opportunity to win this game. They come in and steal a win would be great. I think that would be so beneficial, just because the list of games that we have coming up the next 4 or 5 games is going to be crazy. And so, the Bucs walk away with any of those wins. I mean, that's gonna really bode well for the Bucs towards the end of the season. I think locking in as many wins as you can right now is going to be huge.
I couldn't agree.
So Jose Ramirez, I saw Chef Aaron was talking about Jose Ramirez is going to be suiting up tonight.
Yeah, so Jake Camarda is the only real healthy scratch there. So it was between Jose Ramirez and Devin Culp, and they're going with Jose.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I know Pless is going to laugh at me. Is Logan Hall healthy? I mean, I saw where he was limited earlier in the week, but I'm guessing he's healthy for this game. Logan Hall.
Yeah, no, we're healthy outside of the main guys who've been missing, which is Winfield, Winfield, Gadecki, and Cansey. And those are the main 3. Then we had the 2 receivers go down. So, hey, it could be a fun little Sterling Shepard game.
Yeah. And here's a guy that he really showed me something last week. I didn't expect that kind of game from him, to be honest.
I mean, that catch was unreal.
Yeah.
He's got chemistry with Baker. And again, Baker doesn't need to throw for 250 yards. Generally, it's a bad thing. How many yards did he pass for with the Lions? It wasn't very much. It was less than 200.
Yeah.
You can win. You can play a lot of winning football. In the Eagles game, it was just too easy. I tweeted out, if the Eagles stay in this game, which at the time they were, but then the game got out of hand, Baker is going to put up 400 yards easy.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily how many yards
I think if
you
that
get.
touchdown, I honestly believe if that touchdown didn't get dropped, they were getting ready. The floodgates of the heavens were going to open up on that game because that just the momentum that they had going into it, it was just like they couldn't drop anything.
No.
And Cody Thompson and okay, BB King's talking about Cody Thompson. So we could definitely they brought him up too, right?
Yeah, so they brought him up from the practice squad. So I think this is his first elevation.
Yeah, it is.
So he's probably going to be the returner, or I'm not sure how much Cam Johnson will play. He's obviously he dropped the pass in the end zone, but he's been the primary returner, been dealing with some injuries. So, maybe he's the, helping out there if anything's like wrong with Cam Johnson. They like him better as a receiver, want to focus him on that this week. That's always an opportunity there for him from a returning standpoint. But yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be one of those Thursday night, low scoring, tough games. Whoever wins, I think it's going to be like 2014, 2017, somewhere in there. That's why I said race.
Yeah, it's going to be a grind.
Get there.
It's definitely going to be a grind. So,
I mean, this is the Falcons season right now. When I pull up their schedule, I know they just lost to the Chiefs, and then imagine if they lost to the Saints. So again, that's why the Bucs have sole possession of first place. But that Panthers game, who they have next, doesn't look as winnable as it was 2 weeks ago. Then you have the Seahawks coming to you. The Seahawks playing like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Yeah. Then they get us again, Cowboys, Saints, Broncos, who we found out are no walk in the park. Chargers, Vikings. We got the Lions. They got the Vikings. I'd rather be playing the Lions right now. The Raiders, Giants, Commanders. So, like, again, if they start dropping these games, it's not looking very pretty because they've got the 3 in a row of division games. So if they drop 2 or 3 of those, that's a long walk back.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So it's going to open the door for New Orleans, and we don't know. I'm still not 100% convinced on what New Orleans really is, what their team really is. I mean, one week they're like, man, they look really good. And next week, not so much. But with Taysom Hill out, with the fractured ribs, man, that just takes away a huge dynamic for this team.
Yeah.
So it's all up in the air. So any given Sunday or Saturday or whatever day there, Thursday or Monday, whatever days the NFL decides they're going to start and have a game, they may start putting games on Tuesday. Who knows? If they feel
they've already tried Friday, and I'll tell you, I wasn't too upset about Friday.
You know what?
I didn't like the location, but I like the idea of Friday.
You know my opinion. You know I hate Thursday night games. If you put the game
I think Friday's better, personally.
If you put the game on Friday, then that means you got a game on Friday, then you got college, then you can go ahead and have your game on Sunday. I don't know. I think they've got too many. They've inundated the fans with too many games, and games aren't special. Like Monday Night Football used to be huge, where that was the game you wanted your team on Monday night. But now you've got Sunday night. Now you've got Thursday, and I mean they've even gone so far as to put 2 or 3 games on a Monday night, which it blows my mind. Yeah. So, I don't know. Jonas Steckler,
I think of Monday night, I think about, like, I remember when we played the Rams, that one Monday Night Football game. I mean, people still talk about that one to this day. I mean, I think Monday Night Football has lost a lot of its oomph. But yeah, back in the day, it was the game. I mean,
yes,
every Monday night seemed like a big one.
Yeah.
Now it's how can we get the Chiefs and the Cowboys their 5 games and then throw them in the 4:00 slate each week as the CBS or Fox game of the week.
Exactly. Yeah, BB King says the Saints are decaying. Man, I don't know. They continue to stay competitive. I don't know how much longer that's going to go on. You can only kick the can down the road so much. I mean, eventually they're going to have to, but they've made it work so far. So now if Adams to New Orleans rumors came true,
No. Let me talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
Carr and Adams have already bleeping been together. How did that go? And you're going to tell me, look at that. And me and T. Smitty were going back and forth on this on Twitter. Look at that Saints offensive line right now. Carr's already gun shy. You're what, 80 million in the cap, in the dead cap next year?
Yep.
With Adams with 2 years still of non-guaranteed. Do you think he's going to play on 2 years non-guaranteed money?
No.
Fudge no. And you're going to put yourself more in the red, and you're going to have to pay him. And then is Carr even going to be your quarterback next year?
Yeah.
And then you're going to trade a second round pick. You're telling me if I'm the new GM coming in, if Mickey Loomis is gone, and I don't have a second round pick and I'm $100 million in the red, who is going to take that job?
Bro, I'm
Coach
gonna
or
tell you
GM?
something. I'm going to tell you something right now.
Dave Canales, maybe?
Mickey Loomis and Miss Benson have an incredible relationship. And that's the reason he hasn't left. He's got a spot for life if he wants it. So I just don't see Mickey Loomis going anywhere. It would be a whole lot for them to move on from him. It's going to have to be his choice to make something like that happen.
If they want to keep Dennis Allen, please, dear Lord.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
That is one professional ass picture, Kurt.
Yeah, it really is.
Add me on LinkedIn. Holy schmoly. I need a picture like that.
Offense or defense, what newcomer will have the best night for the Bucs?
Newcomer.
Bucky Irving.
Tyke Smith gets his first turnover.
You know what?
Tyke Smith has played really freaking well.
He really has. And speaking of newcomers, I have to ask you, and I haven't really talked about this. We didn't get to touch on it with you last week. Graham Barton, what are your thoughts?
He needs to just get comfortable at center, but the talent shows up.
Right.
He is physically talented. He is the only offensive lineman consistently getting to the second level when we've especially struggled on zone runs. He's the one getting there. We know he's athletic enough to pull. His only issue is his right now, like first to second step after snapping, because snapping is one of the hardest things to do as a defensive lineman in the NFL, because you have big fucking Vita Vea, Dexter Lawrence, hell, Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata. Like, these are really good players, and you have to not – I mean, as you're a tackle, you got 5 yards of separation during when the snap goes off, especially after your first step. You are snapping backwards, then having to get your hands up and get a hold of these big fellas with already – they have the momentum coming at you.
Yeah, they've got the advantage.
Yeah. That's why when people tweet out those one-on-ones like at the Senior Bowls or during training camp, like, oh, the offensive lineman's getting dominated. No shit. One-on-ones is the hardest thing to do as an O-lineman. And especially at the NFL when these guys are bigger, faster, stronger. Defensive linemen
who had the best
individuals.
The best one-on-one I ever saw was Ali Marpet. Ali Marpet was like, he was dog walking people. It was crazy. And it just watching him, I was like, wow.
He was a technician. That's why he was able to be as good as he was so early on. He figured it out. Hobart College Division III. The worst thing we did was try to put him at center.
Yeah.
Worst thing we did. But you know what? He ain't half bad. But you know what? Graham Barton was better at center than Ali was.
Yeah. And
I'll say that right now.
Yeah. And that makes me happy right now. I am happy with the draft pick. I mean, I can look back right now on, the draft picks that we've had, and that's one. The first round pick, I was happy, was in the trenches. Is something the Bucs needed, and I think they hit a home run on that pick.
Yeah, no, I think everyone except Devin Culp has done something this year. I like
Exactly.
Zion interception. I just don't know if I want to target him. That's the only problem.
Yeah. Shooter in the stash. Kurt was saying, what weakness the Falcons defense should be exploited tonight? I'm still not 100% sold on their linebacker core.
Their best linebacker had 16 tackles and a pick 6 last week is not playing this game.
That's what I was.
That's why I think if you're going to run, this is. I mean, the only thing that I think is going to stop us from running is if Justin Schooley gets blown up by oh my God, what's his name? Who got traded from the Patriots?
Judon.
Matt Judon blowing him up with power moves, and then David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett just having good games. It was like the Washington game. Those are 2 good defensive tackles. But if we get running backs to the line of scrimmage untouched, I'm telling you, we would do better than what we did last week against this team.
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, Zach Bond for the Eagles is a pretty good linebacker.
Yeah.
No one on the Falcons right now can touch him.
Because it's like you have him, and then everybody else is the huge drop off in
Let's go this way. Devin White was starting for us. He wasn't even starting for the Eagles, or not even dressing for the Eagles. And they're known for not having a good linebacking core. The Falcons are significantly worse than them.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Well, because the Eagles just don't prioritize it. Devin White's the only linebacker they paid more than a couple $1 million. Shaq Leonard got cut by the Colts, and it was okay, we're just going to bring him in.
Yeah.
They did moves like that. Someone gets cut, that's a veteran. They're okay, come play here, be on our practice squad. That's basically what they did, and it worked. But then they saw Devin White, and they're okay, we can do something with this. And we told them what was going to happen. I didn't think he'd not suit up, but it sounds like he hasn't learned how to play special teams. He's just collecting a paycheck on the sideline. Not even on the sidelines. He's retweeting Levante David highlights on Twitter. He tweeted during the game about the Bucs.
I am so glad he's gone. I really am. He was I like what he did for the Bucs as far as the Super Bowl, but recently he's been so much of a diva where he's unfollowed the Bucs and he's not saying anything, and he subtweets this or and it's hey, everybody, you want everybody to pay attention to you. I get it, but come on. I mean, he needs to buckle down. He's not. I can guarantee you, he's not getting a max contract. Those opportunities are gone. I just don't ever see him getting that opportunity again.
Couldn't agree more. All right, Gene, I'm doing it live on the air. I am going Bucs money line right now.
No, really? What are we talking here?
Oh, my 1 unit size, $5.
No.
No,
dude,
but the Bucs line, it went back up. It was down to 1.5 this morning, and now it moved back up to 2.5. But yeah, I like where the Bucs are. If this wasn't a Thursday night game, I would 2 or 3 unit this bet.
Wow, that is crazy. And who would have thought that we would be here talking about we're this bullish on Tampa, versus a division rival on a Thursday night game, no less. It's just crazy to.
Well, I mean, Thursday night games are just so weird. Again, if this was Sunday, I think we win this pretty handedly, honestly, bearing injuries, of course, and stuff like that. But if we weren't the road short week.
Yeah, well, that's the hang up right there, is that this is a road game.
And it kind of sucks, though, too, because remember, we have a short week after the Ravens before they come to us. So the Falcons, if they drop 1 against us tonight, it's not looking pretty. But again, if the Bucs lose, you got a tough stretch coming up. You got to make up games. You got to beat the Falcons and Saints again, or you got to win 1 and beat the Chiefs or beat the Ravens or beat the 49ers. I say just get 2 of them now.
That's right. This is, and the way you're putting it, this is kind of a must-win game. Or it'll
think about it. Even if we don't win, Gene, Gadecki's most likely coming back against the Saints. Cansey, Bowles said if this was Sunday, there would be a chance. Antoine's probably still going to be out, but I'm telling you right now, if Cansey was in this game, I would bet heavily on the Bucs because Kirk Cousins is like old Tom Brady with that Achilles right now. He ain't moving.
Yeah.
You get the inside pressure, it's done. That's why I love Vita Vea against the backup center. All he has to do is do that. Just push him back.
Yep, just knock him into the quarterback, and you've got him made.
Yeah, deep drops. Oh, please. I would love Kirk Cousins dropping back 5-7 steps. No, the only way the Falcons are winning this game is if it's a Bucs beatdown where we can't tackle, we're not assignment focused. And Gene, talk about defensive assignments. Do you see who's wearing the green dot? How many years did Todd Bowles talk about communication issues and who was wearing the green dot and now who's wearing it now? Levante David.
Levante David.
And you're telling me that for the past 4 years, all I've heard is communication from Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
Other than Denver wasn't a terrible defensive game. Denver was a terrible offensive game.
Yeah, you couldn't because
Denver
they got turnovers
really well.
and they couldn't convert on turnovers that they got either. So yeah.
Well, and also, Sean Payton, we know what he does. He's going to send 5 guys out. 4 of them are just going to be clear outs for a dump off. And what Bo Nix did and what Sean Payton did that was so genius is they took their shot early. Because what did that do? It backed off Dean and McCollum. Yeah. And those were their 2 worst games of the year was that Denver game. Both of them have played pretty stellar outside of that, other than maybe Dean got beat on like a double move once. Like that's literally been it. It was that game.
Yeah. And any word on when Winfield may be coming back?
Honestly, right now with Winfield, if it's just sometime before the bye, I don't really care. I think this team's good enough to, again, like I said, get to 5 or 6 wins before the bye. Yeah. Let him take as much. He's the most important or second most important player on the defense to me.
Right.
And I know people are going to say Vita Vea, but I'd say right now Levante David.
Yes.
Then I would do Winfield just because I think our corners are just playing so well. And then there's Jordan Whitehead there too.
Yeah.
Jordan Whitehead's been playing like an animal.
Yes, he has.
Been so needed. Logan Ryan, no offense. The dude that I like from Kentucky, Mike Edwards, no offense. Jordan Whitehead was the dude, and Lights already admitted he shouldn't have let him go, and here we are. It's like he never left.
But he's
playing better right now than he did in 2020.
Yeah, I think what he's done so far is better than what he's done with the Jets.
He had that 3-pick game, but just from a consistency standpoint.
Yeah. No, he's back home. I love it. And I've been watching Carlton Davis, and
what is Carlton Davis is going. What the Lions are doing with Carlton is what you do with Carlton, and that's why he's no longer in Tampa. Is because we've seen this zone defense with Todd Bowles is working right now. Yeah. Right now, it's working.
But Carlton Davis is more of a man-to-man guy, though.
But that's what I mean. So what Detroit's saying is, you know what? DK might get 80 fucking yards. You know what? You might have 4 penalties. You know what? But what I don't have to worry about is, other than his injury history, what I don't have to worry about is DK being, healthy and, not loss of breath in the 4th quarter, because Carlton Davis is going to be like white on rice on him. And you know what? In the modern NFL, you're going to get penalties, and he's probably one of the most penalized players. I know he's given up the most yards in the NFL, and I know people are poo-pooing him. But it is not easy in the NFL with the way the rules are set up to guard guys one-on-one. You know what? He's had his moments. And that's all Detroit needs. Yep. Is like, hey, there's going to be times where you're not going to get called for pass interference. There's going to be times where your coverage is just going to allow us to do other things defensively to stop a team. Maybe it's not DK Metcalf. Maybe it's not Cooper Kupp. Maybe it's not Devontae Adams. Like, we know in those matchups, Carlton's good.
Yeah.
But against DK, DK's going to win. But DK ended the game with 80 yards. If you tell me DK comes in at 80 yards in a high-scoring game, that's a win. Yeah.
You can't stop him, but you can contain him.
Exactly. Keep keep the number 1 receiver under 100 yards. Because that's why everyone's been poo-pooing how good of a duo we have because they talk about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. When are they ever on the field together? Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua. When are they on the field together? You don't need Mike or Chris to go off. They don't need to be what Malik Neighbors is doing in New York right now. They don't need to do that. You just pick whatever the best matchup is. It's going to be a Mike game. It's going to be a Chris game. And you know what? If they combine for 160, 170 yards, you're fucked. Because what do you do?
Exactly.
You throw a safety over Mike? Okay, Chris is running across the field. Or you got the Chris Godwin screen. Or you open up the run game because you got two high safeties because you're worried about both of them and you're trying to spy a sub linebacker or safety and big nickel with Chris Godwin.
Yep, and then you got to consider that Baker Mayfield may call his own number and take off running. So
I mean, a QB scramble and a QB draw on back-to-back plays, and he's already rushed for 2 touchdowns now. Like not just QB sneak touchdowns. This ain't no Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, like. Tush push, or I'm 260 pounds of pure muscle just running through you. Like, these are designed play calls now.
Yep.
Not designed to go 60 yards like Lamar, but to get a first down.
Yeah, move the chains, because that's all you really need to do is continuously move the chains. And that's when you're keeping the defense on their heels, and it's just making it, it's making it tougher for them. And that's what I would like to see, where Tampa could get in a rhythm and just have Atlanta's defense on their heels. That would be so important.
Couldn't agree more.
And Payne Durham could be a factor tonight. And Payne Durham, and I have not talked about. And let's see here. Shooter in the Stash, are there any Lightning fans? I will be starting a Lightning show because Tampa just doesn't really have a good one. And I really wish they did. There's a show called We the Thunder or something like that, and I hope to replace that here by the middle part of the hockey season. So look for my show, Puck What You Heard, and we'll
get the puck out of here, Gene.
Exactly. So what I was thinking here, wow, the game's going to start here pretty soon. I wasn't going to stay on the whole time, but just wanted to check in with you. And guys, we're going to try to be as consistent as possible. I know life happens, and we're definitely going to be on more. And who knows? Maybe I may show up in Carolina for a game. Who knows? I don't know.
Hey,
but something interesting. I've been working so much that I've got all this PTO at the back end of the season. So who knows what's going
to happen. Hey, we can't wait for you.
Well, that's pretty much it for us. We're going to go ahead and roll on out of here and get ready for this game. And I want to thank everybody in the chat: BB King, Shooter in the Stash, Bud Cannibalist, Kurt Granger, just everybody that's been in the chat. Thank you guys for contributing to the show, and we really appreciate it. KB, any last words?
Go Bucs.
Hey, I can't put it any different. You know what? Fire those cannons.
Let's do it.
And we are about to get out of here. Peace.